What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name's Jake, and in today's video, we got a lot of stuff to cover. Some of those things would be the difficulty. It is starting to creep up, and it's going to get ridiculous very, very soon. We also want to talk to you guys about all of the different pools, all the different options that you're going to have, and all the different shilling that's going on for these different pools. Then we're going to talk about dual mining. So if you haven't seen the last couple of videos that I've posted, I'll leave a link, but we've been talking lately about dual mining Ergo and Kaspa, but I really want to get into all of the different options that you have out there and also kind of cover some overclocks on dual mining Ergo and Kaspa. So if that kind of content sounds like your stuff, do me a favor, hit that like, hit the subscribe if you haven't, and let's get into it. So first of all, 2 days and 2.5 hours left to go. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you mad? Are you scared? Well, if you are, those are perfectly natural feelings to have, and I don't blame you because I've probably gone through all of those myself, but we're going through this together and we're going to get through it. Next, let's take a look at the farm. Right now the farm is coming in at $41.48 in revenue, $31.52 after power. If I was mining Ethereum, which I'm not. I've hit my last payout on Ethereum and I have moved on. But Ravencoin coming in second, Neoxa coming in third, and you got to scroll pretty far down here to get to Flux and to Ergo, which is semi-surprising. I think a lot of people are moving on to Flux and Ergo as their primary alternatives to ETH because they run cooler. It's a lot easier algorithm to run on your cards. Ravencoin's Ravencoin. It's been around for a very long time. Neoxa, obviously a very new coin, both running the same algorithm, extremely hot, uses a lot of power. So perhaps difficulty, even though it appears to be high, is still remaining low in comparison to the others, simply because nobody wants to run these algorithms, right? But hey, it's getting close to the top of the chart. We're just going to have to wait and see what is most profitable, if anything is profitable after the merge. So speaking of which, what's your plans after the merge? If you would, leave a comment down below. Let me know, what's your strategy? What's your game plan? Do you have a game plan? Me personally, I'm going to be disassembling the farm. I'm going to be doing some deep cleaning, and I'm going to be working on the solar system, getting everything up and running. I've got an inspection. Well, I shouldn't really call it an inspection. My service provider is going to come out and swap the meter for me to a net meter, and I don't live technically inside of the city limits, so I don't have to pull permits. Lucky me. I just got to get that meter changed, and that's coming up pretty soon, but I want to make sure everything's buttoned up, looks nice, so got a little bit of work ahead of me. Next, let's get into difficulty. So right now, Ethereum difficulty coming in at 12.5 petahash, and you can see it has still continued to creep up. No relief, right? Even though all of the other coins are skyrocketing. So here's Ergo coming at 3.52 petahash on the difficulty, and it looks like we bottomed out on August 10th, and ever since then it has just been steady climbing. Flux, on the other hand, bottomed out around July 25th roughly, and has continued to climb, currently at an all-time high. Neoxa hasn't been around all that long, and it's not currently at its all-time high, surprisingly. I'm sure something has to do, or it has to do with profitability at the moment, but yeah, its all-time high was hit on September 3rd, about a week ago, so I would imagine that's going to change very quickly in the next couple of days. And then if we take a look at Ravencoin, Ravencoin was the late bloomer here, bottomed out back in July, stayed pretty low until about September 2nd before it started to climb, and it has climbed tremendously over the last, I don't know, 10 days or so. Now let's move on to pools. So I know you guys are getting shilled all these different pools from all the different YouTubers. Everybody's got to get their information to you through them, and you know, if you're not using mining pool stats, you need to use this website. It is going to give you some helpful information. One thing I want to caution you guys on is making sure you're not putting your hash rate on the top one just because it's the top one. Anytime we start creeping over 35%, I get a little worried. You know, it's not safe, and you should be spreading your hash rate around to avoid things like a 51% attack. We're about to see a very, very, very large migration of hash rate to all of these different pools, and just do your part. You know, let's spread that hash rate around. And also, when it comes to pools, I want to talk about something that I saw Carter from Bitsby Trippin' talking about the other day, and that is smart pools. Now, if you're not familiar, getblock.io is releasing an Ergo smart pool. What is a smart pool? Well, it's a smart contract pool, essentially. And what I like about this, and Carter puts it much more eloquently than I can, but in the past, we don't get to peek behind the curtain at what these pools are doing. And there aren't many pools without their conspiracies of skimming from the top or suspicions that we've got malicious intent, right? And the fact that we've never been able to see exactly what's going on without doing an astonishing amount of research to discover these things, which thankfully there are people out there doing that. But, you know, GetBlock's smart pool has a ton of transparency. And it really eliminates that worry, in my opinion, that you have to worry about these pools skimming from the top. So I'm hoping that we see more smart pools coming out. If you recall, when TON was mineable, that was all getting paid out through smart contract, and that worked pretty well. But I like to see stuff like this, guys, and I hope you support it. I'm going to give it a shot and see how it works out for me, and I'll share that experience with you guys. Speaking of pools, let's move on to Hivon. So my video that I put out several weeks ago about speculating, you know, what's Hivon going to do after the merge, a lot of that stuff came to fruition already. So they did announce they're going to have Ravencoin, Ergo, and others. You know, we got Bitcoin mentioned specifically, but I know they're going to lose a ton of revenue from what they get paid if you are currently using their platform and you're not mining to their pool, which a lot of people don't, and they're going to have to pivot. They've already created the Ravencoin pool, and they've shared that with some of the other YouTubers who've shared it with you guys. And me personally, I don't mind Ravencoin. Nothing against the project. I think the community is great. They have a cult following. It's been around for a long time. It has a ton of liquidity. It's on a lot of different exchanges, and this kind of partnership makes a lot of sense, especially considering, you know, the relationship that's been built over the years, perhaps, with Hivon and Ravencoin. But I would have really liked to have seen an Ergo pool created on Hivon prior to the merge. It looks like we're going to have to wait. I don't know how long we're going to have to wait. I've been tweeting at them, hopefully trying to get a reply, but you know, they acknowledge, but they don't answer. And it is what it is, guys. So we're just going to have to continue to wait and see what happens. Another thing that I want to bring up to you guys that I've mentioned in a previous video is this website, Hashrate.no. Now, I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not promoting this website. I just want everybody to be aware of the tools that are at your disposal. And everybody is familiar with what to mine, but there's a lot of things wrong in what to mine. There's probably also a lot of things that are wrong here on Hashrate.no, but the more tools that you have, the more informed decisions that you can make, right? And I really like the layout of this website. And one of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is testing all of these other algorithms, okay? And hopefully you've done all of your testing already, but if you're flying in the dark here and you need a good starting point to figure out overclocks, I highly recommend just giving this website a shot. So you're going to notice, you know, you've got all of your GPUs listed here in order of profitability. But one thing that's a little bit different here is they do list profitability based off of things like dual mining also. So right now, Ethereum and Kaspa is the most profitable thing to mine on a 3090 Ti. It shows you your power, shows your efficiency, your revenue, your profit, your ROI, and also your hash rate on both algorithms. And if dual mining is not the most profitable, it's going to tell you that right off the bat. But what I really wanted to show you guys was if you click on one of the GPUs, it's going to take you to a page that lists all of the coins based off of their profitability. So in this case, Ethereum is the least profitable thing to mine by itself, and the most profitable thing is Ethereum and Kaspa together. But they've even done the research already on ETC and Kaspa, and also Ergo and Kaspa. Now, if you weren't aware that you could dual mine Ergo and Kaspa, well, you haven't been watching my videos, because that's the last couple of videos that I posted. I posted a tutorial on how to do it with Windows, and also how to do it in HiveOS, even though HiveOS does not have the latest version of BZ Miner. There's some steps that I walk you through to get that implemented. And yeah, currently, like I said, I'm mining Ergo and Kaspa. I believe very strongly in both of those projects. And again, if you're not familiar with Kaspa, if that's new to you, I highly recommend that you go read the white paper and really do the deep dive on this one, guys. I think this could be something huge. Son of a Tech's been sharing this for a long time and promoting it. This could be the next thing. Of course, we're going to have to wait and find out, but get you a small bag of it at the very least, just in case. So if you click on one of the algorithms, or in this case, both algorithms, it takes you directly to overclock settings for that card. And I find this extremely helpful in some cases where I don't know where to start. You could go watch another 50 YouTube videos and find different overclocks for your GPU. But this is a good starting point. Every GPU is different, right? Silicone lottery, you don't know what you're going to get, but they generally get pretty close. And yeah, if you're starting from scratch, yeah, definitely get this website a try. There are several other tools in here. I won't cover all of them. I have them in a previous video. And then lastly, let's take a look at the market right now. Bitcoin has had a little bit of a pump, coming in at 22,200. Ethereum just dipped below 1,700, which is a little troublesome considering we're 2 days away from the merge. But as you can see, most things are in the green today. We got a heavy mix of green and red here. So getting into Ergo and Kaspa overclocks, for those who have not dual mined this yet, it is a bit tricky. So let's take a look at my Alderon rig here real quick. So we're getting about 140 megahash on Ergo and about 285 megahash on Kaspa. Now, these overclocks are weird. It's kind of a combination of high core clock and no locked core clock for Kaspa, and higher memory for Ergo. But power is really going to be an issue for some of you guys. It is for me specifically on some of my rigs. When I designed these systems and I bought power supplies, a lot of this was designed specifically with Ethereum in mind. And for that reason, let me pull up a different rig so you can see what I'm talking about here. So let's take, for example, this Tatooine rig. This is a mixed rig. It's got a variety of cards here, but this 3060 Ti's, the 3070, and the 3080 Ti are all on a 1200 watt HP server power supply with a breakout board. And then these other three here are on a 1000 watt EVGA ATX power supply. But I've increased power limits to the point where, I'm getting a bit nervous on how hard I'm running some of these PSUs. So for example, we're sitting at, let's see here, close to 800 watts in software on just these 4 GPUs, whereas previously I was only using about 400 watts, 500 watts at most. So if you're going to dual mine, just be cognizant of that. Of course, if you were mining Ravencoin or Neoxa or anything Kapow, then you're probably already familiar with how much power you're going to use, but just keep that in mind. When it comes to overclocks, specifically for Ergo and Kaspa, this took me a while to figure out. One of the things that really tripped me up was knowing that you can apply intensity settings in your flight sheet. So what I mean by that is if you go into your setup miner config here, you can see here we've got an intensity setting for dual mining. And right now I've got it set to 40% Ergo, 60% Kaspa. Now prior to realizing that this needed to be adjusted, my tuning was way off. And if you guys are trying to dual mine this, you've probably tried it and just given up, because it doesn't really seem to matter all that much how you adjust your core clock and how you adjust your memory. It just seems like in some cases you might only be getting like 30% of your Ergo and 60% or less on your Kaspa. But if you do adjust the intensity, that does help tremendously. It doesn't rely specifically on the auto tune, which seems to have some trouble with Ergo. Every once in a while, Ergo is going to fluctuate. If you haven't seen this before, or if you haven't mined Ergo consistently, you wouldn't realize this, but you'll see some fluctuations in power and you'll see some fluctuations in hash rate, and that seems to kind of wreak havoc when you're dual mining. One thing that was a big problem for me was not setting my power limits high enough. So going back to this here, I was setting my power limits at about 140 watts on my 3060 Ti's and my 3070s, and my hash rate for the Ergo side of things was decent. It was about 120 mega hash, but my Kaspa was at like 100 or less. In some cases it was sitting at about 60 mega hash, which was just awful. It wasn't worth dual mining. I might as well just mine something specific by itself. But if you do increase those power settings according to what you're going to see in Hashrate.no, that will help. Now I'm not comfortable with, putting 200 watts on a 3070 right now. Maybe after adjusting some of my power supply arrangements, I'll push them a little bit harder. But yeah, if you're struggling right now with your overclocks on dual mining Ergo and Kaspa, it's probably got something to do with your power limits. You probably want to get away from running the lock core clock and just go ahead and run 150 unless you have a 3080 or higher. 3080 Ti, 3090, 3090 Ti. I think you can push this up to about 165 pretty safely without any issues. But yeah, just, when it comes to overclocking on this, 5000 series are just awful at it. So if you're running all AMD, maybe you should be on Neoxa or Ravencoin if you're comfortable with those things. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So if you enjoyed the content, hit that like, hit the subscribe, and I'm out.